prepared for battle.
One box could leave you messed up and fractured. Block these uppercuts, they may leave you captured. May the best fighter win and win again. Battle to the top until his life ends. But if his life ends and he starts to decay, may one of his street soldiers avenge things. See you talking to the game, couldn't be talking to me. I got enough to beat and more soldiers to bury. You know we just clicked in and made you realize this game is twice as hard. You see that with your own eyes. You're on the way to choose your type of life cause you gotta. I tell you from now, which fighter will be the hotter. I don't think you want this one, just practice. Just challenge me when you're ready with your tactics. High punch, the spin kicks, watch your back split. I see you in the air when I make you backflip. Select to make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Select to make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Select to make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Select to make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One box could leave you messed up and fractured. Block these uppercuts, they may leave you captured. May the best fighter win and win again. Battle to the top until his life ends. But if his life ends and he starts to decay, may one of his street soldiers avenge things. See you talking to the game, couldn't be talking to me. I got enough to beat and more soldiers to bury. You know we just clicked in and made you realize this game is twice as hard. You see that with your own eyes. You're on the way to choose your type of life cause you gotta. I tell you from now, which fighter will be the hotter. I don't think you want this one, just practice. Just challenge me when you're ready with your tactics. High punch, the spin kicks, watch your back split. I see you in the air when I make you backflip. Select to make your first pick.
Sweet. Well, that was a killer intro. I hope you like that because that is something we just recently added not too long ago. So fantastic. I'll talk about that more in a second. But yes, it is a another night here in the Pacific Northwest on January 2nd or January 20th, sorry. 2026. We are now almost done with the first month of this new gaming year. So, hey guys, hope you guys are doing okay. Ever since last week, hope you're doing great. Tonight, we got another jam packed show. Class is officially in session again. So, welcome back to the Gamer Quotient Gaming Academy. Here, we just don't play games, we study them. We respect them and we pull lessons from them that help us level up outside the screen. That is my goal for this show. Now, tonight's class is led by the full Academy faculty, each bringing a different perspective to the table. And I'll introduce them slowly here, but first up, let me introduce you our professor of precision, the master of mechanics, the mindset and mastery, Blazing Ace Nelson. Come on in.
The professor of precision. That's you got me feeling like Bret Hart over here.
All right, man. We got you. Got you.
The excellence of execution. I can work with that.
All good. All good. Just wait. Just wait till you hear what I have for the other guys. All right. So coming up next, I don't have the Michael Buffer voice, but we'll get it. Next, we got our archivist of industry and intel, the man who keeps one eye on the headlines and the other on the rumor mill. Nick, aka the Tragically Elite, was here. Was here.
Was here. Is here. One or the other.
Yeah.
Schrodinger's leet.
Yeah, I guess not. I'm not the precision here. Don't mind me. Hey, everyone.
Are you coming in okay? It's like frozen on mine.
Fine on my screen, but if I'm frozen, I'm frozen. I was having trouble with broadcast when I booted it up. Can't have a show without a little bit of technical difficulties.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me hold on.
Now you're frozen. There it was.
Dang.
Welcome back, class.
Yes, we are here. Hey.
There you go.
Yeah, I was wondering what happened to that. Yeah, yours started freezing, then mine started freezing, then so on and so on. So great. Well, how was your guys' week so far?
Good. Busy, very busy. Getting up to the end of my parental leave, so just trying to get ready for that work-life balance to come back.
Cool. Cool. All right. Well, there is one more to the Academy when Nick is not, giving us the controversial details or just being crazy here. Nick's still reading it. Well, joining us as well, our analyst and storyteller, bringing in the thoughtful perspective and big picture insight, is our new guy on the team here, Oliver. Also, the director, creator / author of the intro we just saw here recently. So pretty cool.
Yes, I am the analyst. I'm the storyteller. I can tell you all about historical trends in gaming and kind of key events that have happened, and also why a developer might have chosen to make the decisions that they did with a game's release or with a series and whatnot. But yes, that's what I really hyper focus in. So, every time we get into news bits and things like that, every now and again I have an interesting anecdote that I picked up along the way. So I'm always glad to share those.
Awesome. And always Dandy here in chat saying, Mr. Renaissance Man himself. There you go. We got a fan already.
There we go.
Jack of all trades. That's what I do. And I can cook.
Hey.
Now what's up?
There you go. Swiss Army knife over here. Got it. And of course, if you guys are not familiar with the show, I'm the headmaster here at the Game Academy, GQH Dude, guiding tonight's lesson, keeping the class on track, and making sure we leave every session better than we walked in. So, with that said, let's get going here. Just wanted to check in with you guys. How was the week for everybody? And if nothing else, we move on to our first section here. That's cool with you?
Yeah,
No?
let's
Good.
get on
Rock
it.
and roll.
All right. Blue Right Bot says hello, everybody. Hey. All right, Blue. All right, let's go on to our first session here. Taking place of This Week in Gaming History, Memory Card Chronicles. That's a sound right there. First thing of all, this is the section where we basically chat about the games that remind us from release from Sunday through Saturday of this week, which would be January 18th to January 24th. So, first one up. Whoa, I don't know, man. I think some games I feel came out a little too soon because this game right here, I feel like would come back with a vengeance. So if you guys remember this little title here, please do share your experience with Mindjack.
Oh, I only remember seeing the box, never really picked it up, but just the concept that title alone brings to mind actually reminds me of another game that I picked up, and I feel like not very many people did because not very many people remember the game. Remember Me.
Oh yeah, this came out right around the same time. Even the artwork seems very similar to that, that time frame. This was basically like released during the era of the first person shooters, co-op, like especially co-op, like Gears of War. The other one was like the one where there was Gravity. That was really interesting. I forgot what that one was called. But there was a lot of third-person shooters, co-op games. Even like, was it The Hunted was another one. What made this one different was that when you played online, random people can just join your game and hack the NPCs and be the NPC. So literally, they're just trolling you from beating the single-player story mode. And I feel like, this is a game that would be more popular now than ever before due to the nature of the internet. And it would be as toxic as more with this game. So it was interesting because like I've always kind of thought about that, but I never would have thought it was actually executed into a video game. But yes, and then if you're bad at it, some rando guy online is going to prevent you from beating level 1. So that's the interesting part of
Sounds exactly like playing Dark Souls. Now, if you were to boot up Dark Souls right now, you'd be like, I think I'll try this Dark Souls game. Boy, you could have a bad time in Undead Bird.
You are absolutely correct.
You could get messed up. You better go offline.
What's really funny that you say that is because when the NPC comes, or when the rando from the internet comes in and hacks your game, right? And they're the NPC, they come in as a red blur of the NPC, which is very Dark Souls. I never put those two and two together. So awesome. That's great.
I'm 0% surprised that you recommended this title for some reason, like third person games from this era always seem to be like the weirdest jam that you seem to be a part of. Every time we come up to this era, it's always like the Hunted, it's this,
Yep.
It's the Syndicate release, it's always the stuff that's just like, man, this was kind of a weird thing, and it's just like, yeah, I played it. They'd always count on you.
Private dozen. Matter of fact, Binary Domain is one of the best third-person shooters out there. I'll bring it up one more time. But
It
that
was a very experimental time, though, in game history. Right around then, 2011, we saw all kinds of weird,
Right.
cool, experimental ideas. I mean,
super
in that same
experimental and
time,
3D jank that just happens to hit just right for GQ. I don't know what
it
it
hits
is.
just right.
It's
Yeah,
funny.
you know,
What,
It's funny you
this
mention
is
that.
2011, right?
what do
It's
you
funny
love?
you mention that because literally Jagos just said the same thing in chat.
Yeah, well, Jagos and I, it's the Muso good all over again, but 3D janks.
That was my jams.
It was, for whatever reason it was. So when we worked together, it's always like he'd always recommend these titles for fans who haven't been following us a super long time. Always recommend these titles to people when I was working with them, and we'd be the most just like, yeah, this is not for everyone, but you should try this game.
Yeah,
More often than not, it would hit because so few people know of these titles. So they're able to go in pretty fresh.
I would say, with that said, go play Fuse. Check that out. Check that out. Here's a game I actually would recommend here. This is actually Nick's choice for the day, and I recommend it because the artwork is from Jim Lee. So take it away.
The artwork is amazing, as is the title. I recognize that more than anything. I actually played the SNES version. This day in gaming history, for me, when I'm looking back at my memories with this Memory Card Chronicle, is the 18th of January was the DOS release, which is what this cover is from.
Oh.
But I remember the Interplay box more than anything, and Kyle Blackthorne and his shotgun are just etched into my memory, especially the sound of it as he's going around killing either like the bad guys or the people that are chained up on the wall, because you could do that. But yeah, the sound alone kind of unlocks a core memory for me, kind of similar to Prince of Persia with that side-scrolling platformer feel, the non-scrolling backgrounds, but this had a way more dark vibe to it. And it was really cool to kind of follow that along, because if I remember right, he was a prince of another planet called Tool, and he had to like work his way back there because his father, the king, was able to get him out, like, Kal-El style, before everything crashed down. So kind of a cool little twist, but just a dark vibe, and definitely one of those titles that I remember Interplay for really well. It was just that logo being on there. This was one of my first times seeing that logo.
Y'all pop in here for the. Yes, let's go.
What is your bidding, sire?
Definitely very metal back in. It's very heavy metal of the 80s.
Kind of reminds me a little bit of like if you took Metalocalypse and put it back into the past over Prince of Persia.
Yeah,
like it definitely has that vibe.
Yeah, flashback stuff like
flashback. Yeah. That when you jump into a wall.
You don't jump into a wall, you bounce off of it.
Oh yeah. No, it's real, my man. But yeah, the shotguns and everything. It was very, very cool. I just remember it was one of those games I probably shouldn't have been playing at the time, but I was at a friend's house, so my parents didn't know.
And what they didn't, and what your parents don't know, don't get you grounded.
Exactly. That's why you swear your friends to secrecy.
This game was rated mature.
I think it was just the violence in it, with dudes being like chained up and you can shoot them with a shotgun. I mean, this was like 94, so around the time that I was like playing Doom and I wasn't supposed to. So it's kind of just that era of just I was playing more and more mature, quote unquote, titles. Obviously, looking back on it, not the same. We're a little desensitized to it.
All right. Well, here's one coming from Oliver that is probably just juxtaposed to Blackthorn. So
very much so.
Little Big Planet 2, man. Tell us your memory about this one.
Little Big Planet has incredible memories for me. After I had an Xbox 360 like everyone else, but I had gotten it after Microsoft had allegedly fixed the red ring issues. That shit, it red ringed out on me anyway. And I only bought my Xbox 360 to play Dead Rising. That was it. I was like, nope, I got to play that. I got to play that. I eventually got fed up and I ended up picking up a PS3, right? So this is about 2009 because I was like, I got to find out what this Little Big Planet thing is because no one really explains what Little Big Planet is. I started messing around with Little Big Planet and I was like, oh my God. I called my boy. He lived like several towns over. I said, dude, dude, dude. I was like, dog, you have to drive over here. He's like, come down. So I was like, yes, come to my house. You need to see this. And he came over and he was like, yo, oh, that's what Little Big Planet. I was like, yes, this is nuts. So the tie into Little Big Planet 2 is that the next year I get to go to E3 and I am playing and demoing as press Little Big Planet 2,
Sweet.
right? So I totally had to pick up Little Big Planet 2 when it launched. Like day one, I still got the collector's box here chilling. I like the bookends that came in the collector's box, they're still behind me. But an even bigger deal is that along with that came a little Sackboy. And just a couple of months ago, I gave that to my son. I,
That's just neat.
he has the Sackboy from Little Big Planet 2. I put so much time into that game and building and then doing the scripting. It's like RPG Maker for goofs. Like, if you want to make a weird platformer, that's the way to do it. But Little Big Planet has a huge, huge impact on my household as a franchise. In fact, just the other day, I was playing one of the follow up games, Sackboy's Big Adventure. I was playing with my son on stream. I was like, because he calls. I don't know why. We haven't asked. We're just letting it ride. He calls Sackboy. He says his name is Arnold. So we're like,
Okay.
all right, oh yeah, I guess it's Arnold. He's like, oh look, it's Arnold. I was like, yeah, come on, let's take Arnold on an adventure. And he loved it. He loved it. The sad news, however, is that pretty much every version of Little Big Planet, that's 1, 2, and 3, no longer have functioning online play. And that is because bad code problems and exploits started to happen, and it's stuff that they couldn't fix. And so, for like a while ago, I can't remember the exact year, but there were major attacks on the servers, and they had to take them offline. Kind of like what happened with Dark Souls, right? For a while there, and eventually they were just like, nope, this is not worth trying to continue to maintain. So you can't even purchase them digitally anymore.
Wow, they shut them down.
They shut it down. The only ones that are up are, I want to say, uh, yeah, the Sackboy Big Adventure, and I can't remember what the other one is off the top of the head, but it's surprising. It's like that was kind of like a thing for you guys. Like,
Yeah, like Andre said, the title's getting delisted. I mean, the founder left, Media Molecule, and if I remember right, they kind of stopped a little bit after Dreams when they were supporting that in 23. Like, it was right before some layoffs too. It's really sad to see because Media Molecule seemed like it was going to be one of those kind of tentpole development studios for Sony for a while there. Obviously,
Mhm.
not games everyone was going to play, but this was the PS3 era. I just remember this from Sony having Sackboy and them being able to take like a Sackboy Kratos and putting him in the game kind of thing. So it kind of felt like their version of Kirby almost to me. It was going to be something that was going to be big and blow up, and just look what ended up happening, which is too bad now that you look at something like Astrobot and what they're able to do with that. And
Bingo.
you could easily see some parallels being drawn there, maybe some crossover kind of stuff that could happen.
I agree. Actually, I would consider this as like Sony's Fortnite before Fortnite, if that's anything to kind of compare to, because it's like your playground, and it could add so many things to this thing. So fantastic. All right. If you want, we're talking about rare games. This next game here on the 19th, chosen by Nick, is one of the most rare games on the PS2. And it is, of course, from Atlas. Tell us a little bit more about Rule of Rose.
Hey, Rule of Rose.
wow.
Yeah, we've talked about this a few times before, but shout out to one of the best horror games from the PS2 era and one of the most expensive games to collect for this system. Like James said,
It's
when we were
true.
working in the video game store, like anytime you saw this kind of coming in to your store, it was a little bit of a rush, man, because you're like, this is a rare title. You don't see a lot of these. This game was really remembered for its atmospheric gameplay, but it was a little clumsy and a little broken at the same time. It also had a super emotional story, a really powerful ending, but it was also super slow paced. So maybe with like a little benefit of hindsight, when you look back at this, it's like, yeah, I mean, it was maybe kind of like a diamond in the rough. It was probably more of a cult classic kind of thing. When we go back and play it, it's like, oh no, this game is actually pretty good. But it's kind of risen to this mythical status almost, just because of the fact there were so few copies sold. So there's very few out on the market. So it's very hard to get a hold of. It still commands a pretty high price finding this complete. I've even seen some people posting like their finds at like half price books and stuff, and it's it's pretty up there even for places like that.
It's true.
Are you looking at prices right now? I can hear some clacking.
Yeah, I'm looking right now, and it's like, and I've always known that it's a rare game, but yeah, I mean, it's up there. Like I'm looking on eBay right now. I'm looking at about $450 like for a completed
Yeah,
box, and there are two games that are like
Lord.
that they came out around the same time. The same thing, Rule of Rose and Haunting Ground.
hmm
If anyone remembers that,
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah,
was
I,
released really near to each other. Like there was just this teenage girl horror kind of vibe going on at the moment that year,
yeah.
and that is
Again,
also a $500 game.
it's one of those things that this, to me at least, when you kind of look back at it, this was before a lot of these games made it to the US market and were popular. We have Resident Evil nowadays, and where we've seen them go with Silent Hill F, and more of a palette nowadays to experience a lot of different kind of games. So that's why games like this tend to kind of come out of the past a little bit, and people want to pick them up, realizing that these experiences were out there that maybe we didn't really know we liked, that we are now able to experience, be like, oh yeah, no, this was actually pretty good. Not perfect, but this was something that was very different than what was out in the era. This and another one I remember coming in, Kuon, whenever that came in on PS2 as
Oh
well.
yeah,
Another very hard to get horror title on the PS2. So yeah, I was seeing price charting here. A loose price nowadays is about $427 average for just the disc. Complete $765. New had a sale last month of $1,500.
good God,
That's wild.
good God, walk nasty.
That's what I said, chat. Ever since I started this show, I always say buy physical when you can, because down the road it's gonna go up in value. So
That's a fact.
Emulation it is, Jagos.
at least it is. You're not wrong for that, Jagos.
Yahar, me matey.
I'm on board with you too, sir. Don't worry. I'll get you on that one. But here's actually a sequel to one of the rarest games on the PlayStation 4 is Gravity Rush 2. So, and this one was also Nick's, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I saw that Oliver called it out earlier too, so let me cede over to him a little bit, and I'll fill in anything that he doesn't hit.
You know, one of the things with Gravity Rush 2 is that, well, obviously it's the sequel to a game that was it straight up launch for the PS Vita?
Yes.
And
Lots of time.
Gravity Rush is so fun and unique. You can see where this is where the end of God, what is it? A Japan studio, where it's like they really poured everything they had as big ideas into Gravity Rush, where you can just literally change gravity on the fly, right? And of course, with the original release, it used all the features on the Vita. They wanted you to use the camera and to rotate. That's how you controlled your gravity and everything. So next thing you know, you got vertigo and your ass is falling out of your chair, and you're like, "This is nuts." But eventually it turned into one of those, oh, great game on a doomed platform, right? And so they did end up porting Gravity Rush up to the PS4, and it's stellar. They adapted everything as necessary. Nothing got cut. Everything looks great. And then, of course, they got a chance to finally follow this up with a sequel, because Gravity Rush ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, right? And this time, that not only are you playing as Cat, but I cannot remember the name of
Raven.
the other guy, Raven. Thank you. You get to play as both of them, and it's Gravity Rush, but bigger, better, and uncut. You know, no, it was just a stellar experience. I'm not allowed to play it though. I'm not allowed to stream it because my wife complains about getting motion sick watching it. So, so it remains unfinished. She's like, I can't watch this. It's making me sick. I'm like, shut up. We're just flying through the air. We're just doing a gig. It's not a big deal. Oh no, it's great. It's a great game, and I'm so glad that they got it off of that hardware.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of people in chat are saying as well, like the biggest thing for me was this game first coming out on Vita, the first title. I just remember the cover art kind of standing out to me, just like it was something different, something unique, something for the Vita that was like, oh, this kind of has me interested. This whole idea of kind of playing around with gravity. Um, it was directed and designed by Toyama-san, who is also the creator of Silent Hill and Siren. So it had a really good talent behind it. Like you said, Sony's Japan studio was amazing. Super renowned for like creative, unique, really quirky titles that really defined PlayStation during this era. Like I remember Shadow of the Colossus, Ico. They put out, Demon Souls. Last Guardian. If I remember right, they had like Parappa was also part of their early development studio stuff.
Yes, sir.
So it was really really cool to see this, especially because at the very end of their setup was Astrobot as well. The rescue mission was Japan Studio as well. So after unfortunately the team was closed down, a lot of them were absorbed into Team Asobi. So they're still kind of around. They're still going to have a little bit of that DNA, but yeah, something about this game too. I was always wondering if there was going to be a sequel because I was super surprised there wasn't for the longest time. And then poof, one day it was out on PS4, and you're just like, oh, it's a sequel. When did this happen? I feel like it kind of snuck up on a lot of people. At least it snuck up on me. So yeah, just really
Yeah,
cool. Kind of a slept on Sony title.
it definitely did. Now I want to mention that getting games off a dead platform like the Vita, please give us Soul Sacrifice back on
Dog. I'm sweating bullets right now just thinking about it. I got the
press
Vita
the Oliver
TV.
button.
He activated my
watching.
almonds. He activated the almonds. I have the Vita TV sitting right fucking there with Soul Sacrifice Delta on it. I will never get rid of that thing just because that is one of the most goated games I've ever played. It's like, what's it like? It's like Monster Hunter, but cut out a whole lot of nonsense and then make swords out of people's spines. You're like, pardon? It's like, you heard me. Like, that game just
Tells
goes
it right
off.
there.
And
on.
although a little bit side note, Sin in chat talking about Vanillaware games, Muramasa Demon's Blade, another game that I just love the art direction for. That just very much from this kind of like era I remember playing, like late aughts.
Yeah, that one went on the Wii, I think.
Yeah, that one was on the Wii.
Yeah. So that's not. They did something. They did something. Well, Ace, you got to explain yourself because I played this on the Super Nintendo, but I've never heard of this version before. What in the Charles Barkley are
I was waiting for this.
what? I don't think this game's real, but go ahead.
Okay, so listen, you'll hear the title and you will think, no, this can't be real, but just hear me out. So Charles Barkley, Shut Up and Jam Gaiden, Chapter 1, the Hoops Barkley Saga.
Yeah.
The main reason that I actually decided to call this particular game out is because it's honestly one of the earlier examples I could think of when fans of certain games just put something together as a meme, just as a joke. But the more they work on it, the more it starts to evolve, and they eventually go, hey, we can really make something out of this. And actually taking a look at the game itself and just thinking back to what little I played of it at the time, because for a while I couldn't find it again. But it was such a crazy time playing Barkley Shut Up and Jam Gaiden. It was like To describe it perfectly, it's Earthbound meets Shaq Fu.
I hate that combination.
Yeah. Right.
Thanks, I hate it.
Yeah, it's
No, but he's quite serious. It was a very big deal in its time. Like you couldn't go to gaming places anywhere on the internet in this time period. You know, we're not completely all the way enmeshed into social media, but if you were going to gaming spaces, this game was getting mentioned because it was too good for what it was,
right.
For what is supposed to be a big joke, right? It's outstanding and stellar. And if I recall correctly, it was all made in RPG Maker, wasn't it, Ace?
Bingo.
There you go.
Oh my god.
It has no business being this, but there you go. They're like, we're going to make a sequel to Barkley Shut Up and Jam for the Genesis. It's like,
I'm
why?
sorry, what?
But why?
But why though?
Just to do it, we suppose.
And
I don't get it. More power to them. After
maybe
because
that's the point.
I played Shut Up and Jam in the arcade, and they did make the Shut Up and Jam 2 game for the Genesis. I did not know that this had released. Now it is. I see it's a fan made one, like you said, an RPG maker. That's I mean, cool. That's cool, but it's there's so many like basketball related player related games in my past that I feel jaded looking at this, because we had Shaq Fu, like you said. I owned Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City, and there was also Slam City with Scottie Pippen. Like those were all games that I played because I had to, because I grew up in Chicago and watched the Bulls play, so I had to buy those.
And
I did not know about this game, and I feel sadder for it.
And yeah,
I'm also
they
feeling
did
a little sick.
They did take a good number of I guess story beats from the story question mark.
Story's doing some heavy lifting there, man.
They took a few story question mark beats from Chaos in the Windy City.
Okay.
So okay, Shut Up and Jam, Chaos in the Windy City.
So
Shaq
you're saying
RPG
inevitably
making
when we get
Earthbound.
the 20-year anniversary of this title, there'll be a crossover event, because I'd play that.
You know, when they say who's better, LeBron or Jordan? I mean, there's no LeBron video game out there, is there? I'm just saying. That matters. Anyway, moving on to our next game here. Still on the same day, from Oliver, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 2. Yours and my favorite.
Or
boy.
interplay.
You know, and this references back to last week's episode where we talked about the release of Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. Right? That game was built on the engine established with the Dark Alliance games for Baldur's Gate. Right? So this is just a straight up follow up to Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, which came out on basically everything.
I don't remember this.
You don't?
No, the ad that popped up instead of the game.
That ad. I'm like, ew. You're like, that's not how this goes. But no, they're just stellar, nice, top down hack and slash. Get your loot, get your booty, move this story forward. It's like Diablo for people that don't want to play Diablo, but they kind of want to just get through it, you know.
So it's Diablo,
but still have that
but
sense
don't
of
wanna be
progression
depressed.
and finding that next little loot or getting that next skill. No, they're absolutely stellar games. Like even now, the gameplay holds up. And you know, of course, they did just recently re-release these. They did remasters on these.
Yep, it's what's left of the shambling course of interplay.
Yeah,
which I was going to talk about later.
Boy, I've never seen a zombie until interplay. Like I didn't think zombies were real, but here we are, right? But the number one thing that we won't ever do is we will not talk about the existence of the Dark Alliance game that came out.
No, it ends after 2.
Yeah.
They
didn't make another one, people. There was never a follow-up.
Yeah, again, this was that title that we'd always suggest to people who are looking for couch co-op on console. There were
Yeah.
so few at the time and so few that were good. This was always at the top of the list, and we always recommend it to people, especially like you said, anyone looking for Diablo likes hack and
Yeah.
slashes.
Yeah, they're stone cold. They're solid. You're just gonna get in there and you're gonna have fun.
That's right.
And so,
The next Baldur's Gate was done by Valve. That's why it doesn't exist.
You know,
There
not
is
a
no
compliment.
3.
There's no three.
and so for those curious, the release dates on those remasters that came out was May of 2021 for the original Dark Alliance, and then uh, let's see what 22 of late July of 2022. So this is real recent stuff, and if you're looking for nice and cheap and get in there and feel satisfied, those are the ones to get. Like you won't be let down. Those games came out like 20 some odd years ago, and they whooping that dog shit out of games coming out today. Just trust this. We're all old. we know this one. We're in agreement. There's a grand concurrence happening here that Baldur's Gates games, the Dark Alliance games were good. Like, just do it. Just shut up and go do it. Do it right now.
Shut up and jam
Hey, shut up and jam right now.
on Baldur's Gate. The next one here is
Barclays Dark Alliance.
21st on the Super Nintendo. Came out in 1992. Arguably SimCity for the world? Question mark? I would say, and time, right?
Yeah. Dude, look at that box art. That's what I remember most about this game. Because I didn't have a Super growing up, was the cover art for this. Because I had a buddy who owned it, and then of course working in a retro store, you see this one come in, you're like, oh, this is different. You don't see this too often. So yeah, more than anything, I remember that. And honestly, odd title. The biggest thing I remember about this is that it was actually kind of like ahead of its time with some of the stuff it was doing. It was using like modern evolution
See that?
theories in order to do the gameplay, like in order to figure out like where you'd go. So it was actually pretty accurate. So you start off in the prehistoric era as like an organism, and you fight your way and evolve.
Look at that.
Choosing
Box art
choosing
is sick.
Yeah, the box art is sick. That person knows what's up. But you can, as you're like evolving and going through all the different eras, which again were accurate. That was one thing that was being sold on it at the time. You can choose abilities. You can improve body parts. It had a very like non-linear gameplay to it. It was that a little bit of like, it was semi-educational as well, because it followed like the actual historical eras so tightly. And it was just very different for a side scroll, like you're seeing in this one. And like Blue says in chat, there was a PC version that was more of a turn-based RPG, and they definitely tweaked the evolution system. But for something on the SNES, this was just a very different kind of game that, once you learn the basics of it, it's not anything like super crazy. You'll probably get a little bored, but I mean, it was just unique, man. I had to call that out as something that released something for my memory, because I played this when it came into the store, and I'm like, what the hell is this game? Like, look, it's no Seaman on the Dreamcast, but it's it's something else.
Kind of reminds me of Tokyo Jungle, honestly, or vice versa. Tokyo Jungle reminds me of Evo, Quest for Eden. So very interesting.
Well, it's really interesting because I got to finally play this probably 6 years ago, like because of the exact same thing. It's like, what is this? Right from my childhood, and I was like, I always heard about this game and sat down and played it, and it's like, yeah, for its time, this is an incredible game that has a lot of depth to it. But it wasn't until after the fact, after I got my ass kicked fighting my way through the end, like, because eventually you can evolve into a human. That's one of the worst fucking things that you could do to this game. If you turn into a human, you are going to have a rough time.
You're not the apex predator in this game.
You are not the apex predator in this game. Like, you would think that's the direction you want to go. And one of the unique things that kind of just isn't discussed is like your controls change based on what you are, right? So there's just like a whole different access to a separate control scheme based on whether or not you're something on all fours, or you're a man walking around, or if you're a sea creature, things like that. It's very novel for its time, and in my opinion, it's definitely one of the games that should be not remade. Like, leave this alone, but someone needs to revisit this concept and make it bigger and broader. And they kind of started to attempt to do that with Ancestors.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Cool.
Wasn't there? There
Which
was. Oh god, there was another game on the Wii I remember that kind of followed the same idea where you're building creatures. I can't remember the name of it at the top of my head.
I remember Good and is it not Good Black and White? You guys remember that one?
yes,
I remember Black and White, but that was the god game genre that I remember
Mhm.
more than anything.
Populous.
slapping around tigers,
Slapping around tigers. Yep.
just cuffing them upside down. What the wrong with you? Like, I'm a terrible god. See, that's why it's okay for Peter Molyneux to be leaving the industry, because he enabled us to be fucking monsters. Is what he did. Everyone else is mad.
He just wanted to see what we do.
I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm a vengeful god. I just do the worst shit. Like, no, like, just random off topic, but related to Peter Molyneux. Just, I was telling my wife about Theme Park earlier today, and I was like, I learned how to do some real rude shit because of that game. Like, I take people, let them go in the park, like let them ride the rides, get real hungry, and I just set up a string of restaurants right after the ride, but I'd make the fries really fucking salty, right? Just so they're like, damn, I need a drink. And then the fries were cheap and salty. The drinks were as expensive as fuck. It cost like $100 to get a soda from me, and we're glad to pay it.
Capitalism.
Oh, capitalism, ho!
I had to look it up, but it was Spore. I remember the Spore
Spore,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, because so many people would come in with like their creations and leave it on their memory card, and we get to see what they created with it. Obviously, like a little bit more like leaning kid friendly kind of stuff. They get to play around with it, but that was another one where you can evolve from a cell stage like through civilization and stuff too. So that
That's
was just
true.
kind of a cool, unique thing.
Cool.
I've got a random fact for that. The most pirated game of all time.
Really? I would have never
Yes.
guessed that.
It is the most pirated game of all time because of the extremely harsh DRM that was put into the game when it launched. And
Got him.
it was EA, and people said kiss my ass, and oh no, they torrented the hell out of Spore. Like,
I had to
oh,
look
yeah.
that up. Over 500,000 illegal downloads in its first week
In his first
for Spore. I looked it up.
Howard,
What the hell?
Let's go.
They went hard. They said, and then they just shoved it in the face and
Hold my controller. Hold on.
like, damn.
Quick, can you please generate an AI image of Spore cover art, but with pirates?
Or someone,
Oh, man.
someone just flipping a massive bird with a pirate flag flowing off of it.
Yep, that happened. It was 2005 was a crazy time, man. People got heated, and they let you know all about it.
I'm trying to get this next image here, but my computer is giving me a hard time. Give me a second, yes. There we go. All right. This is going to be a little bit less wholesome, but on January 22nd in 2019, Demon's Tilt came out on PC, and I think it also came out on Switch as well eventually because I own it on the Switch. But if you guys have ever heard of Devil's Crush on the TurboGrafx 16, which was later then ported to the Genesis as Dragon's Fury, a little bit more kid-friendly version of that, it is basically a demon-themed pinball game. And I'll show you the gameplay here because it's fantastic. And I highly recommend it because I was a huge fan of Demon's Crush on the TurboGrafx, even though I didn't own it. This is one of those.
That cover art for Demon's Crush is awesome.
It's pretty metal. Dragon's Fury isn't bad either, and they did a good job, kind of like taking the devil out of it, right? Because they wanted to be more kid friendly. But shout out to these guys for doing Demon's Tilt because it really brought me back to that era. And you can pop this on your Switch or Steam Deck.
Listen, if there is any other type of game that would just immediately get my attention outside of beat 'em ups and Muso and what have you, pinball.
Pinball.
You sit me in front of a good or unique or just plain weird pinball game, and you could babysit me with a pinball game, all right? Just sit me down in front of one. You won't hear or see me the whole day. Where's Ace? Oh, he's playing pinball. Okay, we don't have to worry about him. Just take him his lunch.
Yeah, this game was this is the main board of the game, and then if you want to do, they call it arrange mode, where if you do certain quests in the game, it'll actually take you to another board. But this is basically the main arcade default board. It's pretty cool. So check it out if you guys can. If you guys are, like I said, huge fans of OG pinball. Actually, matter of fact, I would love to see more themed, like, for me, my aesthetic is pixel art. I would love to see more pixel art themed pinball games out there. I know they did Williams like pinball that has like everything, like Deadpool to like Harry Potter. So stuff like this is cool.
Well, there was also the Pinball FX games too. Like those were really popular for a while with all like the theme boards you can get.
Yeah. I think that was the one, because I know there was like one pinball game that had multiple different boards on it. So that's pretty fun as well. So.
Yo, you're the slander for Space Cadet, the original DOS pinball game is I can't stand for it much longer. Like that was the goat for me as installing other games.
It's true.
Space Cadet 3D.
Yeah, there's what is that? Ski Free? You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Ski Free. Man. All right. Well, this is the next one here is a game that's nothing like Ski Free. At least I don't think so. But Ace, or this is Nick. Sorry, Burnout Paradise, the 360 in 2008.
Oh, Burnout Paradise. I am a great enjoyer of the Burnout series. We've talked at length before about it and how much Burnout Revenge is the peak. Burnout Paradise, man, this was their first take on an open world, and I never realized that a game would make me hate Guns N' Roses so much. Because this is the only song I remember from this entire game, because it was playing all the time in our display unit at the store. And then I bought the game because I loved Burnout, and then it constantly played. I don't want to listen to Paradise City anymore, and it's because of this game. Now,
I'm so sorry.
Again, Andre, I see you in chat. They're all right. I get it. But this game ruined that song for me because it was everywhere and constantly playing. It's the same reason when I was working for GameStop, I hated GameStop TV because it was looping 24/7 in the stores. You just get burnt out. Speaking of burnout, I do like this game. Like I said, it went open world, so you actually had to travel to the different places to get to the next events. It was cool to see it on this kind of like span of an open world and trying to like search a little bit for secrets and jumps and all that. But it definitely feel like, to me, although good and looked pretty, it felt like a step back in fun factor. I can't really put my finger on why. Like there's a lot of reasons, like this is still good and it has a lot of the DNA of the title before it, just upgraded to this open world thing. But I just feel like it just didn't stick like Revenge did for me when I look back with nostalgia. I'm not sure that's just of the times or what. Maybe you guys can speak to it.
I have one question. I'm trying to remember. Did they have the crash events in Paradise?
There were still crashes. Yeah, the crash events. Like the insurance fraud, basically. You could just like send your car. Yeah, that was still in there. There was a little bit more variety, if I remember right. It's been a while since I played it. Like I said, the graphic fidelity, going to open world, there's a lot of reasons to like this. But when I think of like what I enjoy about the series, I kind of always go back to Revenge. I just, maybe the quickness of getting in and out of the events, the fast factor of it, the having fun dopamine hits, hitting faster than it did in Paradise. Maybe that's it for as far as the DNA goes. But yeah.
That would do it. Because I mean, yeah, I've said it once and I'll say it again. When I want to sit down and just play a racing game, Burnout Revenge is pretty much like number one that I go back to. It's that and Rock and Roll Racing.
Burnout Revenge is pretty cool. I wish that was still around, like live, because nothing like knowing your opponent that crashed you last is online.
With the kind of internet infrastructure we have now, the multiplayer shenanigans that could go on a good run at Burnout Revenge.
Yeah. Oh. They could call it Burnout Re-Revenge, which would be really funny. And then you can you can set up your notifications on your phone and be like, hey, so Ace Nelson's online when you want to join a game.
Burnout
I was like,
Vendetta.
yes, I do. You crash, you last. All right, next one here on I believe the 23rd, 1994. My second DOS game ever on PC, which
Burnout.
is also shareware, which is funny, from the publisher of Doom, which is the first shareware game I ever got. I see a trend here. They got me. But Nick, tell us a little bit more about this fantastic game.
I feel like everyone on the panel has something to say about this title, so I won't take too much time. But I played the double pack recently, the Heretic Hexen double pack that came out, which was great to kind of experience it again as it's been updated a little bit. But like the original DOS Heretic on shareware, man, it was a really cool premise, taking that Doom engine, but from Raven Software. This kind of like, more fantasy based version of Doom. Like I remember playing a lot of like Chex Quest back in the day, and a lot of like just random Doom clones that came out. Like that was just what I got into. So this was really cool to see this, but fantasy and having RPG elements like inventory systems actually prevalent in the game. It was just like, it was such a cool idea for a spin on the engine that made him popular. So Ace, I saw you throwing up those double hands, man. What do you got to say about it?
Well, yeah, no, just like again, this was on that lineup of DOS games where I would just sacrifice weekends to these games. Like again, it's on that same catalog for me with Rise of the Triad and Shadow Warrior, Redneck's Rampage, of course. Let's see, FX Fighter, Superhero League of Hoboken. Just that mid 90s, id Software was just they were cooking on a whole nother level.
It was certainly a vibe.
They were it, man. They were PC to me. Like, id Software was like they were the the PC gamer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like the Mount Rushmore of PC gaming. At the very least, id Software, Apogee, Westwood Studios.
Yeah, those are all like major parts of my childhood too. And if anything, it's one of those engines I'll always recognize. Doom engine, Build engine, like those games, man, they just got a particular vibe and it's so nostalgic.
All right, the next
Oliver, you got any fun facts?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
You got some. I want to hear them.
No, I got nothing. that really covers it.
All right. Well, the next game here from Ace, to no one's surprise.
Well, wait. I do have some fun fact. One quick fun fact. Heretic and Hexen were how I knew I didn't hate first-person shooters. It turns out I just hated that all first-person games were shooters. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah,
I get that.
Like, because I'm like, oh, someone's actually taken the time to go, wait, this is just a perspective. We can do whatever the hell we want in there. And this is just me being a soft heart, but I love Heretic and Hexen because we couldn't have gotten to Mirror's Edge or Left 4 Dead without it. Without somebody just thinking outside of the box, just going, oh, okay, we're just going to go shoot everybody down and that's it. There's nothing else to do in this perspective. And they're going, oh no, there's more things to do in this perspective. It's just that a perspective. So no,
however, we also got Daikatana, so give and take.
Oh, why would you curse?
Just gotta remind
you know what? I'm gonna make sure John Romero comes and makes you his bitch. No,
I gotta bring that up. Get out of here.
but the I think the founder of Raven is still interested. He's like, no, I want to follow up on this. He's juiced. He wants to. So don't be surprised if you hear about a follow up to these games soon.
I will be surprised just because of the sequel hell that Raven find themselves in, but we'll see.
That's true.
All right. Well, Ace, you ready for yours?
Go ahead.
I know you've been being silent for the longest time, but show us the way with Armored Core Silent Line.
So to the surprise of absolutely nobody,
It's not even a Muso. That's amazing. This is the most amazing game I've ever played. I've never even played Armored Core Silent Line. I'm like, it's the best game ever. I don't care. Oh, Lu Bu is going to show up now. I know it.
Popping into reverse, Lu Bu's here. How you doing there, Ace?
Reverse
Why
the
don't you talk
car.
about this
I
game
can't.
now?
And we now come to the giving the Negro grief portion of our proceedings.
That is correct.
But I've mentioned it before, and I'll stand by that. I'll stand by the statement that Armored Core 3 was my favorite of the series up until 6, and 6 I counted as one of my favorites because it reminded me so much of 3 and its standalone expansion, Silent Line. Silent Line is, it's another great example of just, it's like what Japan Studio did with Gravity Rush 2. They took what was established in the previous game and just gave you more of it. This was also, if I remember correctly, Silent Line was actually the point where the control schemes in the Armored Core games had actually started, slowly being tweaked and slowly making their way toward the control scheme for FromSoft games that people now recognize from, Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Bloodborne. Because a lot of your active maneuvers, from utilizing your weapons on your arms to the ones on your shoulders, were all set to the shoulder buttons and the triggers, because now you actually have buttons where it's like you're pulling a trigger to fire a gun. It's more immersive. It's a more immersive muscle memory kind of thing. Y'all need to stop that.
I think it's amazing.
Oh, it is. Without question.
Go on.
Proceed.
But even with the shift towards the modern, the more modern trigger based control schemes, you still had the option to actually switch back to what was more familiar from the previous games, where everything was on the face buttons. And again, part of Armored Core wasn't just the gameplay, but it was also, it very much was it was very much a part of the game, just how you actually interacted with it, how you had your controls set up. It's like you could come across two different people in the same household, and they each might have a different control scheme or a different button layout just based on their preferences. It's like, it'd be like, going back and playing something like Street Fighter 2 on the Super NES, and you're like, okay, I like my button set up like this, with the heavy punches up top as opposed to on the face. Meanwhile, your brother could, say, oh, I like having both the lights and the heavies on the face buttons, while your medium ones, because they don't use them, are up top. It's wild, because there was such a huge meta that developed just around the control schemes for Armored Core.
I wouldn't have known that, so that's a really good thing to know. It's cool. Is that where like it got more streamlined in like the Xbox era and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Armored Core Silent Line. Okay,
Mhm.
It's good to know. All right, last game on the 23rd, coming from Oliver, a man of culture, because I too own this game.
I am indeed cultured as hell.
We talked about this at work today.
So here's your anecdote. Here's your anecdote. Here's your story. It's one I love to tell. I was working I was working the release of the original Xbox. I hated the Xbox. I still technically hate Xbox. I have a Series X, but I actually like that one. That's the first Xbox I've genuinely liked. But this game is an anomaly, right? So here's kind of what was going on in the industry at the time. So people were starting to accept the idea that video games were not just toys for children, that they could. We finally had hit that point with that generation with the PS2 and the Xbox and the GameCube, that wait, we can tell complex stories and have complex animations, and with Halo and Halo 2 doing what they did, right? It was really starting to pop off and getting everyone's attention, right? And so we also hit this point where people were making some pretty adult oriented some games that are banned on Twitch, period. Like, if you play those games, if you stream them, you're going to get banned. And they all kind of came out in this same window. So those games will be like the Guy game, is one of those banned games. BMX Triple X is one of those games. And of course, in this same time period is when Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball comes out. The joke here is that, I happen to be working at the store with my brother. My brother worked there too. And it's me and all the homies, and we'd all hang out and all that. And we're like, yeah, we're gonna go get that titty game on the Xbox. We started playing this game. We're like, hold up, there's a competent fucking volleyball game here. Wait a minute, this is serious. So we showed up for chicks and we stayed for it. This is the best volleyball sim I've ever played in my life. What the hell is happening?
The coldest volleyball game since Super Spike.
Yes. And Super Spike don't joke. You be blasting the dude into the next counter. You don't play that game. But this game, next thing you know, you're like, if I don't get this girl this lipstick, she is not going to fucking perform tomorrow. I have to. You're like, I have to get. So it's a dating sim. It's a volleyball game. It's about getting these girls to get along. There's a whole lot of shit going on here that we did not anticipate. And so it's kind of nice.
If you have
Also,
not played
this game
Yakuza
is-
0, Oliver, for the Cabaret Club minigame, you're missing out.
You know damn well I have Yakuza 0 and I've been in the Cabaret Club. I know all about that. I got Yakuza 0 soundtrack in my ears, man. Woo! Yes.
Like we said,
showed
a
up for the
man
women.
of
I was
culture.
like, wait a minute. I said, wait a minute. This is amazing. I was like, look, I'm like, girls, we got to get this money. Right? They lined it up. I was like, oh, I didn't know we were doing real business shit. So, but no, Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball. It's a wonderful game. And this game is the debut of Lisa, who was just on the screen to the franchise.
This is one of two games. I remember working in a video game store where it was exactly that conversation you just had when people come in, where they come in like, oh, look at this game. And you're like, man, I thought the same thing, but then I played it, and there's actually a really good game underneath this. And I hate that I have to say that because it was this and Barbie's Horse Adventures, which
Under
as
the
an
Bikini.
equestrian riding simulation was incredibly competent. It's another one
no,
where you're just
there's
like, what the
there's
hell
a
is this
third-
game? Who is this for? And then you like try it or play it, and you're like, oh, it got hands. It's actually
No,
it's
there's-
actually good.
There's a third title on that list. Rumble Roses.
Well, Rumble Roses I
Roses,
kind of
yes, that
expected
came out
with
around
who
the
was
same time.
coming from, though. Like, I don't know, Team Ninja with its fighting game wasn't expecting beach volleyball, and I forget who did Barbie's Horse Adventures, but man, that came out of nowhere.
DOA is
Oh,
just
goodness,
Mario Party
goodness
in my eyes, from my standpoint, I guess.
You're
With-
Mario Party with an anime beach episode.
There you go.
That
Yeah.
would be a pretty accurate assessment, honestly.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep.
Also one of the most baller soundtracks of all time, man. They had everything on there, man. The amount of money they had to have thrown at the beach volleyball problem is excessive, man. They had Real Big Fish up in there, right? They had the damn Spice Girls up in there, right? They pulled a serious soundtrack for that, and they made sure that it was the streaming kind of soundtrack that you could set through the Xbox itself, right? So it was just like, wow, this is just insane. Like,
Yeah,
they
get
spared
those
no
royalties,
expense.
boy.
Right? They were trying to get paid. They were trying to make it happen. So it's memorable. It's I wish we could have that back, but who
Oh
knows
man,
anymore.
now that you're bringing that up, I'm just remembering when the console would go into like theater mode when you just leave that thing running and then just be them rolling around in the sand making noises as people are coming through your store and you're like, oh no, I can't get over to the console to change
Like,
that.
oh no. Like, what kind of pornography is this? You're like, no, it's the volleyball game.
Well, stop making
It's
those noises,
amazing.
please mute it.
All right.
On that note,
On that note, Nick wants to tell us a little bit more about a computer from 1994. I'm excited.
1994, 124.94.
124.94.
Yeah, shout out to one of the OGs in the home computer game, everyone. The first successful mass market all in one desktop PC that had a GUI interface and a built in screen. In 1994, this one came out, the OG Macintosh. I think it was also called the Macintosh, like, what was it, 128X or something like that after the fact? Anyway, originally priced around $2,495. The original reception did have some haters when this one came out, but this entire console or like system you're seeing right here in front of you, this PC, harkened in the age of the 3.5-inch floppy disk. Like transitioning to more people in house having these kind of computer setups, as personal computers with this smaller form factor floppy disk. Man, this got people into computers that previously hated them. It was way more approachable. It had menus and icons that were very straightforward to see. You didn't have to feel like you were hacking the Gibson in order to figure out what was happening on your screen, right? So this was the beginning of not only this home computer game being more approachable by everyone, but Macintosh and Apple as an extension as a whole becoming this juggernaut of approachability for people who aren't usually fans of tech. So yeah, just a shout out to something that happened in video game history that I remember having a Macintosh 2 in my elementary school, and we played Oregon Trail. We had to run when it became lunchtime to get to the library to play Oregon Trail, but doing stuff like Mavis Beacon teaches typing, like I did that on the Mac 2, stuff
Mavis
like that.
Beacon.
Yeah, man. Shout out to
Wow.
Mavis Beacon. She put me in a place where I am nowadays, being able to type with precision and speed. We had to learn to type back in the day, and it is so crazy to
That's
kind of
true.
remember that fact when I see stuff like this.
That's
Yeah,
true.
but did you ever
That's true.
fjord a river? Come on now.
Yeah, I did. And I died of dysentery.
Multiple times.
1848
Multiple
around.
times.
There's a funny story about that. Like do you remember a couple of years ago someone tried to do a documentary about called Finding Mavis Beacon, like trying to find the model, who is that, and like how much of an impact it had on them, and they finally find this lady and she's like, go away.
Yep.
It was like, ooh, that hurts.
Yep. I remember reading all about that when that came out, just because I'd gone down this rabbit hole recently when I was trying to talk to my wife about some of the stuff that I played back in the day growing up, because there's only about I think like 2.5 years difference in our age, but the experiences that we had in school were just so different, even with that couple year difference.
That's a fact.
We both had like typing tutors, but she had no idea who Mavis Beacon was, and I'm just like, she was like quintessential to my upbringing. Like I had Mavis Beacon at school. She was one of the professors. That's just how I remembered it. Like she taught me things, mostly typing, but also that I tend to hut and peck whenever I tried to type back in the day. It was intense, man. I think maybe that started my love of like Typing of the Dead when it came out. Was just kind of thinking back to those times playing typing games,
which is absolutely goated, by the way.
Yeah,
like every time it comes out, you gotta buy it. That's the rule. No matter what system Typing of the Dead comes out, you gotta play it.
Like
related to what GQ was saying. Or was showing on screen, showing the Oregon Trail. I actually did artwork for the Oregon Trail game, just because that was had been on my mind over the past week or so, and I actually released that on my store, combined with it's kind of a merging of the actual Oregon Trail, right, the journey that the people made, and it's blended into I think it's the Apple IIe version of the Oregon Trail. I believe that's the one it is, but it fades right into a completely digital version of that. Like that, even without getting into everyone's homes, for a lot of kids in our age range, that was our first true experience of interacting with a computer in any capacity.
Yep.
Right? I remember doing that in 4th and 5th grade. Right? Like this was how we got to know it. And that square ass mouse that would destroy your hand. It was, see, this is how you know Steve Jobs hated children too. Like, we already know that, but you really felt it then. It's like, hey, here's a mouse. You're like, oh, it's all made of squares. And they haven't gotten better at it. Trackpads are great, but ask them to make a mouse. And
Yeah,
they're just like,
it's crazy looking back at that old tech, especially as we're talking about this OG Mac and just, it was a 3.5-inch floppy in the house. Like that thing did not have a lot of power. It contained that little beige box. If I remember right, too, one of the things when it released was a lot of people, or at least a couple of like big name reviewers at the time, were saying like the choice in that color was going to be a huge mistake. Didn't end up being a huge mistake. Every computer looked like that for a while. The cultural impact that Macintosh had since, people recognized it right away. It was huge. And it was one of those things that it was one of the first big like things that was called an impulse buy at the time, in the early 90s, to pick up something like this and just put it in your house.
You
Something
were
that's
a
new.
status if you had a computer back in the 90s, for sure.
it's a super icon. Like, no matter what. This stone cold fact. It's a super icon. We still use save icons that represent the floppies
That's
that
true.
would go into those machines. There are people who are grown adults who have no clue what the fuck the save icon actually is. Right? They just know I push this weird looking symbol to save. They don't know that it's a 3.5.
And if you didn't feel old first, we do now.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Shout out to the OG Mac for reminding me how old I am on this day.
The advent of the computer lab.
All right. Our last one of the two last games out for tonight here. One of my favorite games, actually, Devil May Cry 3, Dante's Awakening.
Now,
tell us more.
The whole score is, Devil May Cry dropped in 2001, I want to say, and then Devil May Cry 2 released, and that is a divisive game. There's no shaking it. I think Devil May Cry 2 is great, but people are incredibly mixed on it. However, Devil May Cry 3 is the one that turns everything back around, and it was a ball buster, man. Woo! Like, Ace, weren't we just talking about that the other day? It's like, that's one of the games. Like, no, I put up a post where somebody had said, like, these 6 games would just absolutely blow you out.
And 3 of them were Capcom.
It was like 3 of them were Capcom, and it was Maximo, Maximo Ghost to Glory, God Hand, and Devil May Cry 3. I was like, I don't know about this whole list. I was like, but I know that shit right there is true, because those games would tear you apart. And so, on this day in, 2006, they would follow up Devil May Cry 3 with a special edition, and they added a whole bunch of features, like something that was actually very much so enjoyed from Devil May Cry 2, because the Bloody Palace debuted there, not in DMC3. It debuted in Devil May Cry 2. So they make Virgil playable, they add Bloody Palace back into it, they introduce turbo mode, they add more difficulty levels, and they brought back style switching. Like, that wasn't a thing you could do in the original release. Like, style switching on the fly. Like, no, you couldn't do that. But they had it that way in Japan, so they allowed you to be able to just, instead of setting your style at the start of a mission and then you were just locked into being Royal Guard or Trickster, they're like, no, you could just switch styles mid-fight and really make things dynamic. So basically, Special Edition is really the perfect edition of Devil May Cry 3.
It's like the Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo of Devil May Cry.
Yep.
Shit, he's right. Yes. I don't like it, but yes.
He's out of line, but he's right.
He's out of line, but he's right.
But he got the
That's
spirit.
exactly what it is.
I wanted to show this combo video because this is like me watching this back then in the 2000s. I was like, oh my god, I'm trash at this game in comparison to these guys. So, pretty cool. Possibilities.
And I still feel like trash now.
Nothing's changed. So bad now. All right, you had a twofer for this day, so let me throw in the other one over here. Quick. Tell us more, because I actually have not played this next game that you're.
You have not played Resident Evil 7? Wow. Okay. You know, the thing with Resident Evil 7, it's so interesting to me that Capcom has really developed a formula. And it almost seems like an accident, really, right? With how Resident Evil has played out in the long term. You know, we had Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. You know, they were fixed camera angles, and they were I deeply remember this. Everyone complains about, oh, I hate these tank controls. They were like, we did that on purpose because we knew some shit's going to jump out. You're going to panic and you're going to lose control of the situation, right? That it was an intentional design choice, right? For Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. And then Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 basically pioneered that over-the-shoulder camera, right? You still had to plant your feet, but you had free control of aim. But now you need to really factor in every side, especially that left shoulder you couldn't see over, right? And then Resident Evil 7 happens, and someone goes, but what if we just put it in first person? Can we keep that same level of tension? Oh, God, yes. Oh, God, yes. The most horrifying shit I've ever seen in my life happens in the Resident Evil 7 demo. Fuck the full game, play the demo, and then be done. You'd be like, whoo, boy, I'm about as scared as I need to be for the next 6 years, so I'm going to come back on this. No,
Damn.
See?
No, despite
See? Look, you're like, I don't need all that shit in my life. I don't play with... Listen, I don't play with demons, ghosts, ghouls, goblins, banshees, specters, poltergeists, phantasms, and that shit right there. Like, nope. Them 9 things, I'll fuck around with that. I'll just take my shit and go home. But like, you know what? I'm good. Right? I don't need that kind of nastiness. But no, it's actually a terrific game for scaring the fuck out of people. It does what it tried to do. And it got away from the, directly so. It got away from the Raccoon City stuff and being directly tied into, Umbrella Corp. But I did have some absurd fucking chuckles that to this day are still like kind of historical on stream. Just from me laughing like a lunatic because I'm so scared. When old girl cut off my man's hand and he poured some of that Robitussin on the fucking nub. And I was like, dog, that's not how that fucking works. And he just put his hand back on. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, you can't just pour Robitussin on your stump. That's not how amputation works. No, I lost it laughing. I was like, oh, no matter what happens, just carry on the bottle of Robitussin. You can be good. You can be good. You'll be fine. But obviously, they followed it up with Resident Evil 8, with Village and... Big goth mommies became popular again.
Like they ever fell out of popularity, please. It just became more of the cultural zeitgeist. It did help. It did help that with this one, they did start with the VR stuff, PSVR in that one.
That's true.
Definitely even scarier thanks to that inclusion. Like I tried it, did not like it. It was even worse.
Yeah.
You're like, nope, this shit's too scary for me. You're like, nope. And when people be like, you're a bitch, you're like, yes, I am.
It's the same.
Relax,
it's the same when I put on the VR for Alien Isolation when they came out with the VR mode for that.
It's like, oh, quit being such a baby. Wah, damn it.
Yeah.
You said, how about I don't? You're like, nope, fuck all that. And, we got Resident Evil 9 coming around the corner. So what has me curious isn't Resident Evil 9. What has me curious is Resident Evil 10. If they switch styles every 3 games,
that's a good point.
What the fuck are they going to do with 10? That's what's got me curious.
That's a good point. Well, that is a crazy week of this of Memory Card Chronicles. Thanks, guys. That's such a good sound. And the next part is your disc not loading. It's awesome.
Stress.
All right, Nick. tell us a little bit more about what the fans can buy from us here.
Disc read error. Before we move on, quick reminder, if you want to represent the Academy outside the classroom, check out the Gamer Quotient merch store. From tees and hoodies to hats and more, everything in the shop is designed for gamers who live the lifestyle, whether you're grinding late nights, streaming, or just repping gaming culture day to day. Or if you're like Oliver, man of culture, playing a little DOA beach volleyball, make sure to have your merch on. If you support the show, the podcast, and what we're building here, grabbing merch is one of the best ways to support the Academy. Links are in chat. Class always looks better in uniform.
You guys, also, if you guys get merch and take a picture, we'd love to feature you on an ad or our social media posts. So send us those photos. I would love that. So that's awesome. Fantastic. Thanks, Nick. Well, you still got more to say. So
I know. I can't go away.
Let's take it over to Quick Bites over here. Let's go.
Quick Bites and Rumor Mills, Game Academy's rapid fire roundup of the biggest stories, updates, and whispers in the gaming world from this last week. Let's start off with some quick bites, a little bit of news for everyone. We finally have a release date for Marathon Class, and it is March 5th. Bungie officially announced it after leaks showed the date on a trailer that was active ahead of time on the game's Xbox Club page. Whoops! Well, might as well make it a real thing. We found out that the base game will be $39.99, while the deluxe edition will be $59.99 and contain some in-game cosmetics and currency. There's also a collector's edition that will be $230 with the game, or $170 without the game. It has a 1/6 scale thief statue with LED lights and some other physical goodies and in-game bonus cosmetics. Looks pretty cool if you're gonna toss that kind of money down on something like this. The official trailer is getting a way more positive response than we've seen for the title lately, and I personally still think I enjoy the vibe and like art direction for what they had to change it from, but I'm just not an extraction shooter fan. What do you guys think here on the panel?
I'm curious. That's me.
Yeah, again,
No, I'm not big on extraction shooters.
likewise here. However, some of what I've been seeing as far as like who they've apparently got on the voice cast for Marathon, some rather big and pretty notable names.
Yeah, Andre in chat is also talking about the voice cast. It is definitely stacked. With the increasing popularity of something like Arc Raiders, it may have opened the door even more for Marathon as opposed to the opposite. There's just more people interested in extraction shooters now. And if they've tweaked the art and made stuff that people like me are interested in, they might grab a little bit more than maybe they would have at the very beginning of their planned launch. So we'll see what happens with that. Xbox Wire has also released information on Life is Strange Reunion today. This news just dropped this morning, detailing the last chapter in this in the story of fan favorites Max and Chloe. The game is due out on March 26th, and senior brand manager Andrew James wrote how the choices made in the previous titles will ultimately decide how the definitive conclusion for the characters will play out. Great news for series fans. I know Life is Strange has a really, really big fan base, and it's really cool to see how much they're really tying in the story elements and how decisions will actually matter to the actual ending of the game. We're not getting a 3-color coded kind of thing at the end of a game anymore, right? Our Discord and podcast has been filled with love for Ball Pit lately. These guys won't stop talking about it. Community member Andre shared in the lounge chat channel in our Discord. We have the first major free update on the calendar. The Regal update launches January 26th, which will feature 2 brand new playable characters, new passives, and yes, 8 new balls.
Perfect.
DigiXart and THQ Nordic's Tides of Tomorrow shared that the game is being delayed and is now set to release April 22nd. Feedback the team got in its demo and ongoing beta prompted the delay, with improvements being made due to what the team had heard. As someone who worked with Xbox research personally, it is really good to see that companies continue to listen to these feedback mechanisms. So it getting pushed back, it making improvements, and ultimately, hopefully, a better game for its fans is great news all around. After working for 20 years with the company, former Assassin's Creed franchise executive producer Mark Alexis Cote has filed a nearly $1 million lawsuit against Ubisoft, alleging his dismissal. Basically, bad. The lawsuit is really centered around how Ubisoft's streamlining via going to Vantage Studios, stepping in and trying to streamline the entire process of the releases, forced Mark to choose either a demotion or losing his job as a whole. He's looking to also get rid of the non-complete cause that's in the contract that he signed. He's trying to get that dismissed, which highlights something tech and gaming workers are super familiar with, especially in today's gaming market. Valve has announced the 2026 lineup for every Steam sale in 2026. Get your pocketbook ready, fan. The summer sale is June 25th to July 9th. The autumn sale is October 1st to 8th. The winter sale is December 17th to January 4th. Don't forget, there are also the Next Fest sales, which are happening in February, June, and October. And there will be the general genre-specific mini events that kind of pop up throughout the year. So, plan your spending ahead of time, or if you're trying just to pad your backlog, there's the dates for you.
Yeah.
Xbox has added almost 50 games to the Stream Your Own Game library, meaning that some of the games you may have already purchased are now available to be played via the cloud. Obviously, not huge industry shifting news, but hey, even if you have the most basic level Xbox Game Pass, this is super convenient for those players that want to play those titles on PC, or if you're on something like the ROG Ally and you're on the go. So, a couple of big names would be something like Disco Elysium is one of the new titles that's going to be streamable now. It's available on the cloud. So, if you own it already, and you've got basic Game Pass, now you can play anywhere. If you're still running around in the Borderlands 4 world, good news! A minor update has gone live, giving much-needed buffs to Amon and Harlow, and a permanent increase to dedicated drop rates for bosses. Amazon's MMORPG New World Turnum, there we go. God, I can't even speak anymore. I'm starting to run out of spit. Which launched in 2021, has officially confirmed that the game will be taking offline from all platforms on January 31st, 2027. The Dark Fantasy open world MMO has been mostly received as mixed to negative on Steam during its entire lifespan. It's been delisted and can't be purchased anymore, but the current players can still access the game until the servers shut down next year. Actually, in response to this announcement, Alistair McFarland, the director of Rust and the CEO at Facepunch Studios, actually offered Amazon $25 million to keep the game alive because, quote, games should never die. So Grant Taylor Hill over at InsiderGaming.com asked a question that I want to put to our community here and to the panel. Do you think it's up to other studios to keep games alive when they're shut down by their creators?
That's very generous and benevolent of them.
I mean, it could be seen as generous. It could also be seen as something of a preemptive power move. We'll pay to keep the servers online because games should never die, which I am in full agreement with. But then it could later wind up turning into okay. Now that now that you're not even using the property anymore, we'll just take it off your hands for peanuts. Because we've already made that initial investment to keep the game running anyway.
Well, that's part of the investment we're kind of talking about, right? Should the companies keep these going because they've made the investment, or should they cut bait? They're going to sink more money into it. They're not going to see the return on it. At the same time, part of this question is when people are stepping in, they're obviously going to have to buy it. Like that example of him offering 25 million. That's not exactly trying to take a power move over something that has like a small dedicated fan base, right? So just in general, thought-provoking question, something to talk about. Over the past couple months, Nintendo has seen their share price in Japan drop roughly 33%. As of last Tuesday, the stock closed below the 10K yen threshold for the first time since April 2025. As the headmaster here will tell you, fluctuations in the market happen all the time, but the quick drop is alarming, especially because of uncertainty around the company and the Switch 2's future. Kanton Games CEO Dr. Serkin Toto wrote that investors are spooked by the possible price hikes, lack of first-party hits in the pipeline, and EU hardware discounts during the holidays. So maybe a little bit of instability there. We'll see what happens. I know there's been a lot of discussions on the panel too, on our Discord, about the first party title lineup for Nintendo. Is it strong enough? Is there much more beyond these couple peaks that we have? Friendly reminder that in 2 days, the Xbox Developer Showcase is happening, and as we mentioned last week, it will feature Fable, which I'm excited about. This is a perfect segue because our rumor mill leads with a leak from the title. So, again, rumor mill, grain of salt. Take it for what it is. You know, they're not official announcements, but something kind of fun to talk about. Ahead of that developer showcase, concept leaks for Fable have hit the internet well ahead of its official reveal. So this just did hit. I do have the links in here if you want to check it out. We'll put it in chat. But the leaks suggest a few things, which was first reported by MP First. There's going to be a return to Bloodstone while you're looking at these cover arts, or sorry, this concept art. The port town from Fable 2 is also apparent, and different locations could point to story elements affecting game areas, such as flooding. Looks like we lost James. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
The rFable subreddit is already rife with speculation, with some wondering if this new Fable is a different timeline altogether that kind of serves as a soft reboot, or if it takes place between the first two games. So kind of an interesting little leak a couple days beforehand. We'll find out in 2 days how much of this is substantiated, how much of it is going to be happening, but just kind of an interesting leak to hit out of nowhere. Forbes writer Paul Tassi has reported that his sources within Bungie are saying that the next Destiny 2 update, Shadow and Order, is getting delayed. There isn't info on how long that delay would be, but with Marathon coming out on the 5th now, that isn't really a big surprise. Still, unsubstantiated, not official, but information to know. Ex-user Xbox Infinite posted an alleged in-game screenshot of Forza Horizon 6, which detailed Premium Edition access and other content. Using our fancy math skills, and assuming this is correct, the launch day for the game is pointing to May 19th. I personally can't wait to see this game in 4K. I love the series, and it finally going to Japan, potentially jumping into Drift culture. I'm really excited for it, and that date sounds pretty good to me. Speaking of screenshots, Ace, you're going to love this. Shift Up posted an image on social media revealing a, quote, location scout for their next title. Now, with the hashtags that the team used on their post, it looks like Stellar Blade 2 will be heading to China, which in the first game, there's a couple of those cities that show up in there as ghost cities. So that's what we saw in the location scout. Pretty cool stuff. And I know you're a fan of the first game. So, again, unsubstantiated, but they literally do hashtag Stellar Blade underneath this location search. Pretty cool. Dust Golem, an insider who accurately leaked Ari Requiem's reveal and that Leon Kennedy would be part of the game, has shared that the rumored RE5 remake will not be the next release by the company, but instead it will be Resident Evil Code Veronica. As always, this isn't an official announcement or source, so take it as a grain of salt, but we've discussed this before on the panel and in chat earlier. What do you think, panel? Code Veronica.
Boo. Boo. It was a weird fucking game, man. Like, it's got its diehards. People swear by that game, you know, and it is easily, to me, the weird, I'm not even going to say ugly, just weird duckling of Resident Evil, right? Having the camera actually move along with you, you know, while maintaining that perspective is really, really odd. And then, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's a weird
so
thing.
You're telling me you'd rather have Dead Aim first.
But hear me out. But they do really good with these remakes. You know, we were all nervous about Resident Evil 2 being like RE4. And it worked. It worked like gangbusters, right? The shit was terrifying, right? And then Resident Evil 3, again, plays very good. It's like we nailed it the first time, followed up, keep your same story beats, you know, keep going forward. Then they did Resident Evil 4, right? And it's like, okay, well, all those games are based on that, and you knocked it out of the park. So I've got faith that maybe they're going to do that, right? Everything is just going to, you know, classic Resident Evil will be in that over-the-shoulder perspective. And if they do that, I think it'll give a wildly different audience than what it had before, right? I think that it's going to be really, really interesting for people who never played it, right? Of which there are many, right? Like, And then on top of that, it's going to be really fun to see the people who love Code Veronica, how they're going to react to it more than anything else. Like that, those are the people that I've got my eyes on. Not the people that never played. Like, no, the diehards, and whether or not it still feels like Code Veronica for them.
And and what differences between the OG and the remake they're going to point out.
Yep. Because boy, they're going to do that on a level that just no one should care about. They're going to get right down to it. Listen, the stitching on Claire's jeans is not the same as it was in 1999. I'm like, why the fuck do you care? But
You
no,
understand we have to
they're gonna
live
go,
for this.
they're going to go hard on it, right? It's going to be like Silent Hill 2, except that Silent Hill 2 went over really well. Like, no, people are like, hey,
We'll see what happens. That's the roundup for the week, fam.
Now, where?
There he is in the background.
Hold up. Is this thing on? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. What are we going back to the headmaster's desk for? Are we in trouble?
You're in trouble. You know why? Because you can tell, right, by this music.
Oh, God, what did I do?
All right, class, before we move on, the desk is open. Last week, I talked about the headmaster's desk, a place reserved for questions that don't belong in quick takes, headlines, or hot reactions. This segment only exists because one in our community sent it something forward. A thought, a question, a concern, or a challenge that deserves to be examined with intention. Here at the desk, we slow things down. We look at the bigger picture. We connect the dots between gaming, life, and the lessons hiding in both. So what you're about to hear isn't random. It was submitted, and it was chosen, and it's worth our time. Let's take a look at what landed on the desk and break it down. This week, Jagos in the chat submitted to me 117, something he'd like to share and get off his chest. Thing called giving up. A big thing to wonder, a big thing to ask in the realm of games. Is it ever okay to quit? In roguelikes, the option is always there to quit a run or see them through to the end. Should a person go until they have nothing left? Or start over with more knowledge? In my mind, this does not compute. You see a run through the end, maybe you want to give up. You get knocked down, you're on your last life. But nothing is venture if you don't go until that HP hits 0. That is what was submitted on my desk last week. Thank you, Jagos. Appreciate that. Thoughts, comments, chat?
absolutely. As the master roguelike player around these parts, that's a very complicated thought and question, right? A person should go, in my opinion, as someone who throws himself at these in a very stupid way. Like my persistence and stubbornness is probably the most on brand thing that I have. And the truth of the matter is that you got to know when to hold them and you got to know when to fold them. And you need to be able to recognize that's really the skill that you're going to pick up is knowing when to walk away from a doomed venture more than anything else. I play a lot of Enter the Gungeon. I've dropped 900 hours in Enter the Gungeon over the past 10 years. And I can tell you sometimes things just don't line up correctly. And no matter what you do, your skill cannot compensate for how much the chips have been stacked. Have been stacked against you. You got to look at it like Balatro. Sometimes you're just getting fucked. Like, there's nothing you can do about it, and you got to be able to take that L. But more importantly, we always talk about being a good winner, right, and having sportsman-like conduct. but we also have to learn how to lose gracefully too. One of the things that Ace and all the people that come on my stream has seen me do is they've seen me change what the definition of winning means, right? Especially with something that I've never done before or never experienced or anything like that. I stopped treating winning as my goal, right? The best way to put it is when I go into, say, Monster Hunter, and I fought a monster or I'm fighting a monster I have never dealt with or encountered before at all in the franchise's history. I don't go in with the intent to win the fight. I go in there to learn what the hell is going on, right? So if I win, oh, look, okay, the skills you already had were good enough to get you through and carry it, and you don't need to worry about that. But if it's something that's out there doing something crazy, I go, nope, I'm now clicking over to I'm learning, and here's the information I gathered. So even if I card out, even if I have to quit, even if I need to restart, I know something that I didn't know 5 minutes before. And if I change the terms of me winning to learn more than what you previously did, then I never lose. So it's all about the approach, if you ask me. How you're deciding to look at this. Am I treating every run that I don't complete as a failure? Or am I treating every run as I learned something that I didn't know before? And then suddenly you start having a lot more fun and way less frustration. That's my take.
Awesome. Well, guys, if you want to participate in next week's Headmaster Desk or whenever, because I only do these when they get submitted, throw it out in our Discord here on the channel, the Headmaster's Desk. So, get it featured on the show. So appreciate that. All right. Well, the next segment of the show will show you to not give up, but also to teach you how to not to get to that point even at all. Ace, this is the tech.
Good evening, class. I know I've been kind of quiet this episode. Just a lot to think about, and honestly, with some of the stuff that's been coming up, especially over like the last couple of segments, it feels like everything was kind of dovetailing to this. So listen close, y'all. The Gaming Academy stands largely on two pillars: celebrating the hobby, the craft, and the industry that we know and love, and applying that knowledge that we've acquired through gaming to daily life in order to improve ourselves and the world around us, one level up at a time. The target for tonight's session, while not often talked about directly in the gaming space, is a way that is critical to gaming and to life as a whole. It's all well and good to have a grasp of your mobility, of your offense and defense, awareness of your surroundings, and your ability to control the space in said surroundings. But of all the fundamentals we've discussed in our sessions, though, the cornerstone of it all comes down to one thing: persistence. Here's a little quote, a little tenet to take with you going forward. The way of persistence often runs counter to the path of least resistance. Quotes that you hear like, quotes and phrases that you hear like, get good, hold that L, fight, die, repeat. The very concept of leveling up itself is the essence of the way of persistence. The reason we're all here today is because due to whatever motivators we have in our lives, we didn't stop. We didn't give up. We saw the game over screen and press start to continue or put in another quarter. The famous opening line to the Sega classic Golden Axe highlights the quintessence of persistence. Rise from your grave. In recent years, there have been a plethora of games that have made the way of persistence into a mechanic that players can actively engage with. From Dark Souls to Wendigo Blue, Rogue Legacy to Vampire Survivors. In some games, this is a central plot point as well. You fight as far as your knowledge, skill, and ability will carry you. If you reach the credits, you can play again or move on with the knowledge from your journey and proof of victory. If you lose, you take what you learned, you take a breath, then you take another shot at the goal.
Hold on, Ace.
Rise from your grave.
There you go.
There you go. As the Japanese saying goes, fall down 7 times, stand up 8. More recently, in titles like Monster Hunter, God Eater, and Freedom Wars, you have multiple chances before you cart out of a mission. However, to move your story forward, you only need to finish a hunt once. Hades stands on the back of the simple fact that Zagreus will die, but he will eventually stand up, stride from the river Styx, and fight his way out of the underworld once again. Persistence has been in gaming from the start, and this trait is lauded more often than not in offline spaces as well. Persistence leads to growth. It leads to records being broken and to boundaries being set. Struggle exists in the space between persistence and one's goals. So if you ever find that you're having a hard time, whatever it is that you're doing, not to romanticize it, but just, to give you another facet to look at it at. You're putting in the work. You're showing your persistence. Your goals are right there. But in that gap, that's where the struggle happens. But that's where the magic happens too. Like I said, struggle exists in the space between persistence and one's goals. Survival is persistence. Life itself is the reward and celebration thereof. Persistence is both action and mindset. It's the grind. It's leveling up. It's earning achievements and trophies. It's working toward that next armor set, mastering that combo, perfecting your aim, solving that puzzle. That's persistence, class. Now for our case study, I'm gonna get a little serious with you, a little personal. Because you see, this lesson is significant for me because today marks a particular anniversary. Today marks 3 years to the day where I faced a major game over. GQ, you were there for the call. Oliver, you were there for the calls before and after. But in the hours after that event, it was my will to persist that led me to reaching out to my friends and brothers for help, for guidance. It was my persistence that brought me into a new struggle where the goal was revitalizing and redefining myself as a human being. The fact that I'm still here today, the fact that I'm talking your ear off right now, is proof of that earlier mentioned tenet. It would have been easy to give up. Giving up and wallowing in what I was dealing with at that point. That would have been the path of least resistance. But the way of persistence often runs counter to it. And it tends to be more rewarding at the end of the road. But the fact that I'm still here today also is proof of of a tenet that runs in parallel to that. If you can see the game over screen, then the game ain't truly over. Because that means you've always got that option to step away for a little bit, take a breather, give yourself a chance to refresh, recharge, and then at some point, when you feel like you're ready, when you've determined you're ready, you can come back and try again. With that being said, here's your homework assignment. It's a long-term one. It's not going to be something that's due next week, right? The objective for this is progress. Choose a game, choose a project, choose an aspect of your life, ideally all 3, that's tested the limits of your abilities to the point where you had to put the controller down for a time. Take what you remember from that, take what you've learned from that, take what you've learned from everything since you last played, and just give it another go. Take note of how far you got compared to the last time, even if you got to start over from scratch again. Take note of your thoughts and feelings on your progress. And all those victories that you chalk up, share them with the class in the comments, in the Discord, on our official Twitter, wherever you get the chance to interact with us. Share those wins, because an instructor's greatest joy is to see their class succeed. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I've said it on my own streams and I will say it here. If no one else out there, even yourself, doesn't have any sort of faith in you, I do. Because if I can make it through, you can too. And that's it for this week's session of the Tech. Remember, study hard, train smart, and may your combos always connect.
Thanks, Ace. That was awesome.
Yeah, appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, for sure. I got something to share on the outro here, but for right now, I gotta share this with you guys. So every night, you guys see me holding this dang bottle. Well, not every night, but like usually when I'm streaming or like
Often enough.
often enough, right? Tonight's class is actually powered by Dubby Energy, clean energy made for gamers. Dubby has zero sugar, much like everything I else drink in my life has no sugar in it. No maltodextrin filler, no artificial colors or dyes, no hidden ingredients, and it's gluten-free for those gluten-free out there. Now, every flavor is custom made by Dubby, so you're not getting something recycled. You're tasting something you literally can't get anywhere else. And here's the best part. Dubby comes out to about $1 per drink, or less actually, making it way cheaper than Starbucks or canned energy drinks. Plus, it's made right here in the US of A, I believe, California. If you want to stay focused without the crash, use the code GQ Asian Gaming at checkout and get 10% off your order. So let know that. And that's W Energy, clean fuel for long sessions and real life boss fights. The flavor you see on the screen there is Japanese soda. So basically standard Ramune flavor. So it's pretty good. My suggestion is to get like some kind of seltzer water and put Dubby in it, and you basically get Ramune. It's great, and it's way cheaper than Ramune.
You have my attention.
It's fantastic. Right now, I'm drinking yuzu from Dubby, and it's a Japanese lime. It's like my favorite flavor, and I bought it together with with Dubby or with the Japanese soda. So it's all great, and I never get the jitters afterwards. Usually, when you get those like monster drinks stuff like that, you get jitters. But Dubby's pretty good.
You need to have some of those slow cook wings I did recently that are yuzu garlic. Very tasty.
Okay. You have my attention.
You have my attention.
I got jitters from that because it was so good.
All right. Fantastic. All right, guys. It is time again for another final boss. And I found a new song. So get ready. Here it is. If you guys know where it's from, extra points to you guys. Last class, we talked about the cost of playing everything. The time, the money, the burnout. Tonight, I want to talk about what happens or what separates gamers who feel overwhelmed and from gamers who feel fulfilled. And that, my friends, is intention. Think about a game like Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. You can run straight to Ganon the moment you leave the plateau. Or you can explore, climb mountains, cook meals, find shrines, or just simply get lost. The game never tells you the right way to play. It asks you to decide what kind of experience you want. And when you play with intention, the game becomes unforgettable. Now contrast that with jumping into a live service game because everyone else is playing it. You log in, you check the battle pass, you knock out dailies, and suddenly, gaming feels like a chore instead of an adventure. That's the difference between playing intentionally and playing automatically. Look at Monster Hunter. We go deep in this one. If you go in swinging without a plan, you cart. If you study the monster, prepare your loadout, choose your weapon, and understand your role, and listen to Aces the Tech, the hunt feels incredible. The same hunt, different intention, completely different outcome. And life works exactly the same way. Now, if you wake up reacting to notifications, expectations, comparisons, your days feel a little bit scattered. But when you decide what you're hunting, what matters today, what deserves your energy, let's get Oliver back in here, everything sharpens. In Dark Souls, you don't win by rushing. You win by learning, by patience, by understanding why you died, not just by blaming the game. Playing with intention means you stop asking, what should I be playing? And start asking, what do I want to feel right now? Challenge, comfort, progress, connection. Because when you play with intention, you give yourself permission to stay in one game longer, to walk away sooner, to ignore the hype, and to define your own win condition. I love that one. And in real life, that's the same permission frees you from burnout. You stop chasing every quest marker. You stop comparing your playthrough with someone else's speed run. You stop confusing motion with progress. So this week, class, before you press start in a game or in your life, pause for a second. Choose your loadout, choose your objective, and of course, choose your intention. Because intentional play leads to meaningful progress. You are Link. Life is your Hyrule. Experience the adventure with intention. And that is how you stop playing everything and start playing what matters. And that's tonight's final boss. Play with intention, folks. You know what?
Golf clap for the final boss.
Shout out to Andre on chat, Venom95. He's the one that kind of slid that in chat when I was streaming on Saturday. He goes, I was just playing it on stream. He goes, GQ, are you playing with intention? And I was like, oh, you got me. All right.
Wow, you kind of burned him with that voice, though.
That's what I do with everybody. I do that with everyone. To be my dad.
Actually,
James, what are you doing right now? That's what I do. Shout out to Andrea. Thank you for reminding me to play with intention, to get back on track, stay focused this year. Right? We're here we're all here together in this journey. So fantastic. Oliver, good to see you back.
Yeah, I got weird for a second. Internet went out.
Okay.
It's still out.
Been there.
Oh, really?
I'm using my cell phone.
Oh, dang.
Technology that amazes.
Tech on tech on tech. I love
There
that.
you go.
All right, that's all I got for the final boss. That one resonated with me. I really enjoy the new song that I got. Any takers on what song that was? Chat or a panel?
I wasn't in for the song.
I didn't quite hear it.
Oh, really? All right, I'll
Play
play
it again, Sam.
Yeah, I'll turn it up here in a second. Which one's that? Nah?
I know this.
Oh.
I know this.
I'm gonna hurt his brain.
It's what Final Fantasy?
8.
Yep. Which
There we go.
part? What song?
Oh,
It's not Lunatic Pandora. It's
No.
it's not the assassination attempt.
Nope.
no, that's actually, fittingly enough, one of the final boss themes. I think this is the one where you're actually facing off
Ultimecia?
against Griever.
You are. Ace is right. He got it. This is the one
Griever.
with Bison Griever. And
Look, the bass line on that track goes hard in the.
Don't make
really
this man
good.
throw his internet connection
it's
right
really
now.
good. Let's be real. The first song you hear in the game, Liberty Fatale, whatever it's called,
Yep.
I'm sold. That sold me the game and the demo. I wanted to buy it. And play it. That was it. I was in. Anyway, that's tonight's final boss. And tonight, and that's basically what's going to do for tonight's class here at the Gaming Caddy. But Nick, take us home, man, unless we got something else.
Just a note for the class. This week was supposed to be retrospective, but as I told the staff just before we went live, so when I was talking about Westwood Studios before, which is near and dear to my heart, it was a really fun segment to do, and we had a lot of really good responses. Shout out to everyone that voted as well. I started writing for this month's retrospective, which the choice of the community on our Discord was Interplay. And I felt once again, whenever we're doing these podcasts, these sessions, whenever we're talking about, Memory Card Chronicles, games that pop up, there's always this through line. It'll show up in the news or it'll show up in a later segment. There's always connections. There were so many Interplay titles that we talked about tonight. And I feel really bad that we can't talk about it tonight because that Westwood Studios one, pretty fun little run through. That was a page of text. Interplay is currently at 3 pages of text. Trying to break down this beast and what it means to me and the industry as a whole. So we had so much to talk about tonight. I wasn't going to try to toss it on top because, like you saw with the previous one, it's a really fun piece to talk about and the chat gets talking about it. However, it's me monologuing for that solid time. So as much as I had to talk tonight, I couldn't imagine throwing this on top of it. We'd go way over on time. So next week, tune in. I'm going to do a retrospective on Interplay. Don't forget to keep hopping on that Discord. Definitely vote for the next one we have come along. We have the first 2 thanks to your votes, but get your friends involved. I'd love to see some more voices in there, have some more devs or publishers or defining moments to pull from. But that's going to wrap it for Class 62 at the Gaming Academy. Tonight we talked about playing with intention, which, let's be honest, is probably something we all needed to hear before adding even more games to our backlog. Thanks, Steam, for getting those dates out. Now I know what to plan ahead for. Big thanks to the Headmaster, Ace, and Oliver for the insights tonight, and to all of you for hanging out, tuning in, and being a part of this community, whether you were here live or if you're catching us on a replay. If you want to keep the conversation going, definitely jump into that Discord. Drop your takes, your questions, and if you've got something you want broken down on the show, send it over to the Headmaster's desk. If it lands there, you might actually hear it this next class. Shout out to Jagos for this last one. We'll be back next week with another class, more discussions, and probably more games we'll swear we'll get to eventually. Until then, class dismissed.
See you later, guys. See you next week.